So the first 12 years of life we call the phase of childhood. And the next 12 years are the second phase, the phase of becoming an adult. And it's a time of huge transformation as the child leaves behind the relative safety of all they know, they're an expert at being a child now, and head towards the unknown, and that is the world of adulthood. Parents notice that change, but often they don't think the young child is aware of the changes too, but actually it's happening to them. They know the changes are happening, and they're often just as confused by the changes and the moods and everything that goes along with it as the adult is. So we're just going to go over the 4 planes of development. In Montessori, the 4 planes of development is a term she uses to describe the development of a child from birth through to 24. The first 6 years are a time of great change. They're from an infant to a child of 6. You can see the difference. An infant is helpless. A child of 6 can do a lot for themselves. We divide it into 2 subplanes, birth to 3 and 3 to 6. The first 3 years they are becoming conscious of the world around them, and they are becoming aware that they can act in and on it. And the second 3 years they really are coming to grips with their possibilities, their power. And most 3, 4, and 5-year-olds can now eat themselves, dress themselves, toilet themselves, and do things for themselves. That's been their aim. In the 6 to 12 years, that's the time when the child starts asking lots of questions. They're incredibly curious. Their mind changes from being what's here to being what's out there. The world excites them, and they ask lots and lots of questions. And it's usually a time when we go, oh, will you be quiet? But they just want to know so much. So, and our task as adults is to help them use that brain, to help them figure things out, not to tell them all the answers, but to help them find out where the answers are. Hopefully not just by asking Google, but perhaps by doing some research, going to the library, doing some experiments. The third plane, from 12 to 18, is another huge time of development, of transformation. The first 12 years of childhood is left behind, and they're moving into the years of adulthood. And by the end of the 6 years, they have the body that they will have for the rest of their lives. The muscles might change, but essentially their height, their shoulder width, their body structure is what they'll have for the rest of their lives. And in this 6 years, they are learning now to be a member of society as an adult. So they are looking at what they are going to enter into, and they're looking at the adults around them to see how they should be. So the transformation in that first years and that first plane and that third plane is astounding, and that's why we refer to them as parallel. The fourth plane, the 18 to 24, is the second calm stage before full adulthood. It's not as turbulent. The brain hasn't finished functioning yet, so sometimes choices are made that aren't perhaps what we would consider rational, but it's not nearly as tumultuous a time as the adolescent time. So we call the first and third plane parallel planes because of those similarities that I was just talking about. The first plane is a time of creation of themselves and their ability to do for themselves. And the third plane is a time of creation of their adult selves and their ability to participate in adult society. And it's a long period of time, that time from 12 to 18. It can seem a long period of time to them. For us, it's a blink of an eye. But they need all of that time for their brain to change into their adult brain, for their body to change into their adult body, and for them to figure out who they're going to be as an adult. So a transformation begins, and depending on the gender, it can happen a little bit earlier. For those who are born girls, their bodies tend to change sooner than boys. But the change is huge, and we're used to young children being happy to see us and spend time with us and want our opinion and do things that we say. And that changes for an adolescent. They're no longer hanging off our every word. They no longer think we are the fount of all knowledge. In fact, often they think that we don't know anything. And that's normal. They have to leave us behind now. And they have to go find out things for themselves, because they're going to enter into a new world, and they need to be able to work in that world, to be in that world without us there all the time. Previously, they would have, if they hadn't seen you for a while, they would have bounded up to you and given you a big hug. And now when they see you and they haven't seen you for a while, they're likely to turn their back and cringe and roll their eyes and not really want to be with you, especially in public. In private, it might be different, but in public, it'd be like, leave now, leave now. And that's just normal, and it's healthy, and it shows us that our children are on the next phase of development, the next stage towards becoming an adult. So as I said, the second plane of development between 6 and 12 is a relatively calm time of life. They might be get cross and have a temper tantrum, but it's over quickly. Their energy is great. They like to go for long walks, and they'll come and run after running a game and flop down on the grass and be absolutely exhausted, and then 2 seconds later they're up going, okay, let's play again. And that's just normal energy for a 6 to 12-year-old. But a 12 to 18-year-old, so much is happening in their brain and in their body, they don't have that energy anymore. When they say they're exhausted, they are exhausted, and it takes a while for that energy to come back. But just by the same token, they can be wildly energetic and elated and excited. It just depends on what's happening at the time. They do start to get sick, and they sleep later. Being a house parent here, I'm ready for bed by 9, and they're just waking up at 10. And so we have to come to an understanding about what's good for both of us. But their body, their circadian rhythm changes, and now they are more alert at nighttime and more sleepy during the morning. And they are much more emotional. They are ruled by their emotions. That's what it can seem like to us. Things matter so much, and those things that matter so much become intensely important, and you see that in how they talk and express themselves. And that's part of that is the change of the brain is huge. Connections that were stable are suddenly lost. So things that they used to be able to do and could do perfectly, it's like they've forgotten. It's like they never did it before. And so things that they've done every day, like take their shoes off at the door, or hang their backpack up on a certain hook, or where the glasses go when you put the dishes away, are all of a sudden like, what? Where's the glass go, Mum? Or Dad? And it's so frustrating. And it's frustrating to them as well, because their brain is not working the way they used to. So the moody teenager is not a myth. Almost overnight, they go from being lovely and fun and loving to be with us to surly, unresponsive adolescents who talk to us with just a grunt or an eye roll. And that's as it should be.